it's Carol with Carol's Crazy Crochet and More. So I want to let y'all know I'm making a bunch of videos today because my husband's at the office and I haven't been able to make videos because he's been having a lot of conference calls. And so I'm making a bunch of them today, and so I'm going to be wearing this same little dress all day, or for the next few days. And so I've been starting off, I got this little book with inspirational quotes in it, and so I want to start reading one before each one of my videos. And so today, this one says, "Make each day your masterpiece" by John Wooden. And this is, this book says, "Always find a reason to smile." And so, make each day your masterpiece. Yeah, I'm doing that today by making a bunch of videos. What are you doing? I was tagged by Michelle, who Michelle crochets in Kansas, for a questions with some questions. And so I'm just gonna get started. Does counting stitches stress you out or calm you? I'm working on a shawl right now where I have to count my stitches after each pass that I make, because I'm going up a valley or up a hill, I'm making, anyway. But yeah, I have to count my stitches, and I cannot be watching a video, especially not a tutorial, where there's counting going on in the video. I have to pause it and then I can count. But I can watch lives, or I can watch murder shows, or whatever I want to watch while I'm crocheting and counting. So it doesn't really stress me out unless I'm coming around the second pass and my numbers are wrong. But then I always figure out a way to fudge it. Next question is, what is the first project you crocheted? Well, that's kind of funny because my grandmother taught me to crochet when I was about 10 years old. And I would go see her every other weekend or so, and she'd hand me some yarn and a crochet hook. And she started off, she just taught me a chain and single crochets. And so I would sit there and make a blanket with single crochets and just work on it all weekend while I was there. And then I would come back the next weekend or the weekend after, and she'd hand me the same ball of yarn and hook. And I never realized that she was frogging out all my work when I left. The old bag. I never finished a project with her. I never finished anything. And so the first project that I actually finished was when I was about 17. I made a big blanket using 3 strands of yarn at once for my uncle. And he bought all the yarn and everything and asked me to make it for him. And that was the first project that I made. And the next question is asking you what you did with your project. And I gave it to and he was my favorite uncle. And so I did that for him. What is your favorite beverage to have while crocheting? Well, I start off in the morning with coffee, and I like my coffee black. And then I switch to water, and then I switch to beer, because I'm a beer drinker. But I think my favorite is the coffee in the mornings. I really like that. Do you buy yarn in person or online? I do both. I try and find the best prices that I can for yarn. I very rarely pay full price for yarn. I just, that's why I have a yarn stash, so I don't have to pay full price for yarn. But yeah, I shop online and in person. I usually will watch reviews if I'm planning on buying something. I'll watch reviews on that yarn and then see where other people are getting it and what prices, and then I'll do my searches from there. Is there a specific stitch you dread or dislike? A specific stitch. My foundation chain. My first row crocheted into that chain is the one I dread the most. And then after that is having to chain, I don't know, 40 or whatever, and then connect your chain without it twisting. Ugh, I have the hardest time with that. And I put taken my yarn off my hook and put the loop back on there from my beginning stitch to try and keep it untwisted, and still it twists. So I end up doing my first foundation chain, and then I do the first row, and then I connect them, because it's easier for me to not twist it if I have something more than just that chain. So I usually go in and do whatever it calls for, single crochet or whatever, and do that, and then I'll connect them and just slip stitch them together later at the end of my project. So yeah, that's what I do. But I don't mind sewing in ends at all. I really enjoy it. I feel like it's, the finishing, it's something I kind of look forward to, is finishing my project and sewing in those ends. So, do you use blunt or sharp tip needles? That has a lot to do with what I'm doing. For my crochet hooks, I like my hooks to have a bit of a point, but not quite as sharp as Susan Bates. But I'm not knocking Susan Bates, because that's what I started off crocheting with, and that's what I learned to crochet with. And I do still love my Susan Bates hooks. What advice do you have for using fuzzy yarn? I use fuzzy yarn mostly for trimming, like the eyelash yarn, and I usually make a couple of rounds of it on whatever I'm making, and so I don't worry too much about having the exact number of stitches or getting my stitches in the exact right place, because it's fuzzy and nobody's going to be able to see it. As long as you keep your stitches evenly spaced and it's not bunching up, then you're doing fine. You're doing it. You're doing it. But like, I don't use like the boucle, the bumpy yarn, which is a bit fuzzy. I do have a suggestion about that, and about using fuzzy yarn like mohair or Angora. You need to practice your stitches before you start your project, and make sure that you know those stitches, because you don't want to frog that. It is a lot of times very hard to frog yarn that has a halo, a lot of halo on it. Not all yarns are that way, but I would definitely practice my stitches on scrap yarn, and then come back and start your project. And let's see what else. I've got 2 more questions. What colors do you pick for fall? I like, the color palette that I like is pinks, purples, blues, and I just go from lighter colors in the summer and the spring into those same colors, but in darker colors in the winter and the fall. I don't really care for oranges or browns or greens to wear personally, because I have an olive skin tone, and those colors don't go well with my complexion. So I don't really shop for fall colors unless I'm making something for somebody else. Where is the strangest place you have found a crochet hook? There's a couple of places. I have found a crochet hook in my dog's bed, which upsets me greatly. But it was an aluminum hook, and it wasn't damaged. And so that was, for me, a strange place. And the other strange place that I have found one is in my grandkids' little swimming pool. I used to let Grayson play with a crochet hook and a piece of yarn. Grayson's my 5-year-old grandson, and I would let him just run around with a bigger hook and a piece of yarn. And I found a hook out in that pool one day. So those are my strangest places to find hooks. And that's it. And I hope everybody has a fabulous day. Stay sweet, stay smart, and stay sassy. I love you guys. Bye.